It's Christine Wilson and Saphira Galoob, and you'll thank us later. Tune in every week and hang out with us because we're a lot of fun.
And no topics off the record, we decided. We are open to talking about everything together with a bit of a sense of humor, a lot of self-forgiveness, a lot of grace, and always being wiser on the other end. Bring it on, girls and boys.
You know what? You'll thank me later that I'm telling you about this. You'll thank me. They're going to hate us, Saphira. It's going to be nuts. Hi, guys. Good morning, Cody and Saphira. How are you both?
Good morning. Excited about today's conversation.
I am too.
Apprehensive.
I think it's going to be entertaining because I think we have a lot of differing opinions. We're talking today about Mel Robbins' book, Let Them. And I'm excited to see where we all come out. I have to tell you, this is super fun. Okay, so I have never watched a long form day in the life video of any influencer because my attention span is 30 seconds to a minute, right? Mm-hmm. And so everything I take in for Cody's always on TikTok, maybe Instagram, but it's like pretty quick. I get the gist. And she had posted, see my day in life video on YouTube. And I was just out of curiosity. I was like, what would that even be? And how long would it be? So I clicked on it. And I was kind of letting it play and I'm doing stuff. And Cody starts talking about, okay, I got to listen to Let Them. We're talking about it on the pod and she's listening. I swear to God, she had decided she was not interested before Mel Robbins said 4 words. I'm calling you out on that, Cody.
You know what's funny? I got a comment on my video like, hey, you're up to chapter 2. Like, give it a chance. I'm like, right.
She's like, she listens to about 30 seconds. She goes, yeah, not for me. And it's like, you don't even know what she's about to say.
I did listen later on in the day to a bunch of different chapters because I wasn't giving her a fair shot at the beginning of my day. But I've got some thoughts.
All right. You guys know that I push for this because I'm a very anti-self-help person. Every time someone is like the newest, greatest thing, I'm like, absolutely not. Like, I'm not kidding. In 8th grade, when everybody liked New Kids on the Block, I did not like New Kids on the Block just to be a contrarian. I was like, I will not like New Kids. And then I secretly would be like, oh my God, I really like New Kids on the Block. Like, that's my personality. Just want to be a contrarian. Whereas I think, Saphira, from what I know of you, you're more open-minded to like, I feel like trends of things, like when people are like, this is the new health thing or this is a new great thing, you seem to be more open-minded than I'm more like suspicious of everything.
I mean, I'm definitely open-minded about it, but I would say I'm not easily swayed because the general public is swayed.
Yeah.
And in fact, just even look at my decision about being on socials. Like,
right.
Like taking the Let Them theory, I'm just surprised that so many people needed that advice.
Oh, everyone needed this advice.
But
that is an interesting thought. I like that.
Remember, I had a dance studio for 15 years, and I say I taught 15,376 people. I mean, that's not the right number, but if you look at the number of students that came through over a period of years and the number of classes I taught, I know women. And let me tell you, it ain't easy. And it just surprises me. I mean, it doesn't surprise me that this resonated just to the general population, but it surprised me that so many people were like, oh, that's a great idea. Let them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, that wasn't like part of what you were doing anyway. Like, you were worried that you didn't get asked to be on vacation and that was like stressing you out.
Yes, I was worried. Are you kidding me? Of course, being left out.
I was like, is that where society has evolved? I mean, some people just have trauma in their life, is all I have to say about that.
I'm going to take it
at that shit quickly.
I'm going to take it a quick step back for listeners. And I think you guys need to do exactly what I'm going to do because maybe we also took different things. I think the most important thing about this book and why people who are like, oh, I get the concept, I don't need to read it, why I feel like they miss out on the point is that the point of the book isn't just let them, meaning stop trying to control things that you can't control, that you have no control over. But the most important part to me was the let me concept of it. So if I had to say in a nutshell, what I took from the book, what actually mattered to me was stop exerting energy and stress and mental capacity and time on things you actually have no control over, and refocus that energy on the things you do have control over and make your life more productive and make the most out of what you can actually do something about. Now, was it worth me listening to the whole book? It was, because she gave me so many scenarios in which that could apply where I very quickly forget the lesson. So my example was, while I was reading the book, I think I mentioned this already, but my son called and said he wanted to go to the pool with his friends. And I said, oh my gosh, you should go to your grandparents' pool. It's so much better. It's more fun. It's cooler. It's up on the rooftop. It's so much better. Don't go to our community pool. And he said, no, I don't want to. I want to go to the community pool. Oh, but Ronan, the rooftop pool's so much fun. I'll make sure you can get in. It'll all be fine. You should go there. I don't want to, Mom. And I finally pushed him to the point where he said, Mom, what if my friends act like assholes and it reflects poorly on my grandparents and they live there? I don't want to do that. I know at the community pool, it's like a safer environment for a big group of teenagers. And I was like, oh my gosh, all he had to say was no once. I didn't need
Let
to
him
keep pushing it. Let him. What was in it for me anyway to try to control that situation? He's 17 years old. If he wants to go to that pool, that's his freaking business. And it was this moment, like the light bulb went off of like, that's why, to me, the book kept giving me all these different scenarios so that when these moments have come up, I've been able to go, oh, wait, did Mel give me an example of this? Oh, yeah, she did. Back the fuck off, Christine. Stop trying to control what you shouldn't control and be responsible for what you can control. So, and I think coming as a very type A controlling person who comes from a pretty controlling mother, I have tried to control things outside of my control my entire life. I would bet that's a part of my anxiety. It's a part of the stress I feel every day. I think as my kids get older and you have less control over them, it's a big part of my mental stability every day. So that just for me, as my one plea to you all in my advocacy for the value of this message, that's what I took from it. Could it have been shorter? Could it have been more concise? Absolutely. Do I like Mel Robbins' voice? Yes. So I didn't mind, but I could tell like
her voice.
I felt like Cody was like ready to yell at her.
She reminded me of Jodie Foster, her voice. So it was kind of comforting, like the actual sound of her voice. It was like some of the situations she gave me, I wanted to rip my hair out. Like Saphira mentioned the vacation one. I can relate to her. If you said these are your best, closest friends, the situation was she saw these women post on Instagram, they went on vacation together and she was so close with them. Well, how close can you be? You had no idea they were going on vacation. You're not invited. Like, maybe you're just not that close with them. Yeah, let them go on vacation. They're not really your friends then. I just couldn't like relate to some of the things she was saying.
I did feel like she said she took the reflection back in the let me after she was upset about it. And she said, I have let these friendships lapse. There is a reason why. And to me, I think my instinct always is like, oh my God, why was I left out? Oh, what, and then I have to take a breather now and go, do I want to try to control the fact that they didn't invite me? Or do I want to take ownership for maybe I haven't been there for them?
Right.
So that's why I did relate to it. Like people generally don't leave people out to be mean. People leave people out because there's a limit on the number of space. They haven't talked to them in a while. There's usually a pretty good reason.
Right.
Unless they really are just fucking sick of you and want you to know they don't like you anymore.
Maybe they don't like you, Mel.
I mean, it sounds to me like
maybe they're just not that into you.
She was probably pretty caught up in her career and didn't have a lot of time for them. They were over it.
Right.
That was a Sex and the City episode, right? They're just not into you. They're just not that into you. He's just not that into you.
Oh, yeah. That was the original when all the women were pining over the guys that wouldn't show up for them.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, Christine, I'll build on that because, I really, I listened to it very intently. I'm not susceptible to being upset with things like that. First of all, I don't even see things on Instagram. I'm like, if I wasn't to the party,
you wouldn't know.
Throw my own party. Like, I'm so not, but so I was really thinking about it through this lens of what can I get out of it? And I agree with you that the let me portion of it. I actually thought that if I were thinking about it now, because I think, when she was even talking about it, that let them was the whole thing. It was really her daughter, if I'm remembering correctly, who said, no, we can't do this, that let me. And I would actually push back is to say, start with let me. Like the let me is actually the most important thing. In fact, my way of, and this is, I'm really confiding now, my little let me world is a word that I use, and I have an English version and a French, and it's I decide. Je décide. Because the way that we interface in the world, people are presuming that the world's going to invite you to things, that the world is creating a space and a pathway. The truth of it is get your fucking shovel out and start paving your path every day. And so to me, the real message is not like how we react to things. The real message should be is how you proact to your own life and not be a victim of somebody else's wind and decisions and whim and decisions. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that because I've got some really specific examples as it relates to aging parents and kids. And I actually took a survey last night with the teenagers because I think there's some really relevant things that would inform both our audience, but also inform the conversation.
Well, and I would love to know, I mean, here's my thing, Cody. I say this to my kids all the time. And I'm not 100% sure if it's more the teenagers or also in your age group. But like the fact that on Snapchat, you can see where everyone is at all times and like what people are doing and all those connections. I'm sorry, but that would really be hard for me. That would be hard for me.
I don't
turn it on.
No, because it's freaking weird. Like,
well, the teenagers,
I also like as of last year, I like deleted everyone from having my location on my phone. Like I used to have like close friends. My parents, I'll still keep theirs on, but I was like, I don't want anyone knowing where I am. Like it's so invasive. Yeah. I guess teenagers like it though, because like who's over there, like at the local whatever, we want to all go. Or I guess I understand that, but as a 30-year-old, no, nobody needs to know where I am ever. Like that's weird.
Yeah, but I mean, even just I don't know. I remember one time I saw that a bunch of women that I've been in a book club with for 20 years, like 5 of them had gone to a concert together. Okay. Well, the book club's 15. Clearly, this was not an event. I was sad.
Yeah.
I was a little sad. I was like, why was I one of the left out people?
Did you like the band or group that was performing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And it was like,
maybe that's just like part of life. Like maybe they were all just like talking one day and out and had a few cocktails and let's buy the tickets. You never know.
Maybe they just weren't that into you, Christine.
And I think that they were a tighter 5. I do think so.
I wasn't saying that to be ugly. I was kind of just
but I mean, I think that was there. But like, I don't know.
Well, it doesn't feel good to be left out, so that's valid.
Yeah, but I was like, if I want to go to a concert with them, then I need to initiate a concert and invite everybody. That's
my deal. Is if you want to do something, don't wait to be the subject of somebody's decision. Mm-hmm. Be the
aggressor.
Just decide, do it yourself, and invite them. Always be the host of your own party. Period.
Yeah,
love that. Clock it, Saphira.
Yes. So did you guys get? I mean, in addition to the let me concept of deciding, I mean, were there any other things that you got from the book that you're like, oh, I could use it? Or were there things that just you're like, no fucking way?
I think there was stuff with like family life that I was like, yes. Cause like I have 2 brothers. We could not be more different in every aspect of our life, from like relationships, socializing, friendships, the way we just go about everything. So sometimes when we're all hanging out, like I do hear some of their choices and I'm like, well, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just do this? And they're like, that's what you would do. And I don't want to do that. So I do. Yeah. That's the most part where I get like, I think controlling, and I don't understand other people's choices and I try to change them or make them think what I think. And I was resonating with some of that. I was like, yeah, I just need to like let them do their thing. And like, who cares what they do? I need to care about what I'm doing. So that I do take away things from it. Like I love the concept and the theory, and I think it is important. But my God, is she repetitive?
She did repeat.
It's like 11 hours of let them and the let them theory. Okay, well, heard it.
The fact that she had to say the let them theory every time made me. It was like I felt like there was like a trademark stamp at the end of each word.
Mm-hmm. She's monetizing. God bless her, Mel.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, so Saphira, when you're working through this, I decide, right? I mean, sometimes there's roadblocks to that, and sometimes there's insecurities that come in. I mean, what do you do to sort of deal with that?
Yeah. So here's some kind of things that I thought would take it a little bit deeper. So the first, I think, on the let me, where I think it was, I don't use the word misleading, but in terms of applying to life. So, for example, you and I, Christine, have had a lot of friends, and Cody, I don't know if this has been an experience for you, but I'll just reference it to things where they've had some pretty significant things happen to them in the workplace. And Mel does reference a situation where you're in a bad job. What should you do? We'll get your resume out and find a new job, like basically. But there are things that kind of, if you take that, let them, and you kind of as we'll call it, just the black and white rule. I think there are times when you have to impose yourself in the let them to influence. Sorry about that. I forgot to turn my phone off. To influence the let them portion of it. So, for example, in an organization, I was recently counseling somebody who had started her own organization. That organization had blended with another organization. And so she was kind of forced into this blended situation. Well, Mel would say, all right, well, get your resume together and go find something else.
Yeah.
And that would be let me. There is also, though, a way to kind of figure out whether or not you want to try to recalibrate this thing that's happened to you, or that's happened to the organizations when I was advising my friend on that, maybe just like leaving and doing your own thing that's one decision, but maybe you stay and try to recalibrate. And so I don't think that like the let me requires you to influence the let them. It kind of like it requires the person who is making a decision on just to be like, it's really deciding to try to influence what I think Mel would say, don't try to influence. So I thought that there was some nuance there that would have that if you just took it as, oh well, okay, they don't want me anymore, I guess I'm gonna go do my own thing again. Or you could say, okay, is there a different way to recalibrate? Now you could interpret that as a let me, but you are imposing yourself on the let them. So that's one thing. The other thing about that I think is the let me is that, and I was talking to my dad about this because he has kind of some really long, my dad is like an 82-year-old guy, he's a surgeon, so he knows everything about everything. And sometimes getting the let me to where you want to be can take a really long time. Getting to where you want can be months or even years. So part of the problem with the let them is a pretty quick decision. Let them. But let me to get where I feel stable and I'm happy with the overall thing, that can be a really long process. And I don't think she gave that portion of it, that relationship between let me is a change in perspective. No, excuse me, let them is a change in perspective.
Right. Let me is an action.
Could be a really long freaking set of activities until you kind of find yourself where you're. That's the second thing. The third thing is, I think in certain parenting situations where you have adult children, and we can talk about this separately, I think there's a lot of things that the let them, let me make it really, really difficult to navigate in adult parent, adult child. And I mean, my kids are 18 to 30, and then I have my parents. So I think let them, let me in that. I would love to talk specifically about that because I have a lot of thoughts about that. But well, and that's my general.
That's what intrigues me the most right now, right? Having kids that are transitioning from being the age at which you can't do let them, right? They were of the age where I had to intervene. I had to guide. I had to teach. I had to be hands-on. And it is like this startling transition in these teenage years where as a parent, your whole natural aspect is to protect and to teach and to guide. And they are fighting it every step of the way. And where does that day come where that line in the sand where you have to go, let them, like the story of the son and the prom and the going to the restaurant. She absolutely had to let them. And I, with Ronan in the pool, had to let them. Right. But as a mom, you really struggle. What is the day that you turn from one to the other and adult children?
I'm not a mom, so I don't know, but I was going to ask you guys, what was your thought process on when she was talking about making her daughter stay at college for a full year, even though she was literally miserable up until the week before she finished her finals? I don't have kids. But I was like, you really made her stay the whole year? Why couldn't you just, after the first semester, let her transfer, let her try something else? Let her decide. She's an adult now. I thought that was so crazy.
Well, and I think there's also mental health. There's mental health things associated with that. I mean, I've talked about this actually. A friend of mine whose son ramped up an anxiety attack. I think you can't take that as a, well, Mel Robbins would say my kid has to stay. So I think that is a very custom situation because mental health situations can go from a 2 to a 10 really quickly, and the consequences are just too damn dire. And who the fuck cares if your kid comes home for an extra 3 months? They're 22 years old. They're not going to grow up, I'm sorry, until they're 30 anyway. So, you know, it doesn't have to be a perfect 4 years. Like, stop putting them in a paradigm that you think, you know, some sort of like, well, they go to college for 4 years and then they get out and they do a summer job and they go to grad school and then like, take that paradigm and throw it out the window.
Right.
Yeah. I will say, I think if it were my child, I'd be like, come home immediately the minute you're not happy. But that's probably because I dealt with my own mental health stuff in college. Now, that being said, I did stick it out. My parents did intervene, got me help, and I did end up sticking it out. And I just was at the beach and I was talking to very close friends of ours, and I had understood that their daughter had gone to college this last year for the first time. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so glad you loved it so much. And she said, oh no, I cried for the first 3 months every day. And she said, I was really unhappy. And my mom said, please get through one semester before you give up. And, you know, I don't think her mom demanded that she get through one semester, but she's like, but she said, after that 3 months, it all started gelling. And then she joined a sorority and found her friends and she's like, and I love it and can't wait to go back. So I do think there is something to being that guide to your child and saying, I do have enough experience to know that big major changes in life sometimes take a lot of time to get comfortable, and not everybody gets to college and thinks it's the best thing. But I do think like a whole year of an 18-year-old or, you know, an adult is pretty rough and is not very let them.
That feels like your whole life when you're 18. Like,
yeah,
it feels like so much longer if you're unhappy. Like, I didn't have a bad college experience. I kind of loved it the second I got there, but
yeah.
And imagine being unhappy that long. My mom being like, you have to give it a year. That's my rule in life. Give everything a year. And I was like, I'm not giving everything a year, Mel. If I'm unhappy, I'm jumping. Like,
yeah, no, I'm definitely like you, Cody. Like, unhappy, stop, pivot, go. Like, yeah, for sure. Okay, so this is great. This would be great for Cody because this is an age-wise. So let me tell you guys the survey that I did yesterday. And this is like real. So here's a scenario that Christine and I are in real time, and I'm sure Cody, you as well. So you've got a child, you've got a close relationship with a child, and the child brings home a significant other, and you clearly see that that significant other is not a good match. To what extent do you as the parent say something? To what extent that you do not say something? To what extent do you let the child go down that primrose path? How much do you let them have a mate that you know is bad news bears? Because you can let me, but you're just seeing this like train wreck happen in front of you. So, and this is not a straightforward answer. So I'm curious.
Cody, I'm going to let you answer. I think I'm guessing there's some thoughts here.
I do have thoughts. I obviously don't have a child, but if I did, I think it depends on your relationship with your kid. Like, I feel like the way I am with my parents, like when they met anyone I've dated, I'll just be like, do you like them? Who do you think? Like the second they leave or whatever. And they'll tell me. So it depends on your relationship.
What if they didn't and you really like them? What if they did not like them and you really like them?
Welcome to my life, Saphira.
That's why I was like, I know Cody has thoughts on this.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts? To what extent should your parents?
Mine are totally honest. So they gave me the get, but they really let me, you know, do my thing and figure it out myself, which is a hard lesson, but I'm grateful for it because if they would have told me what to do, and they said this to me, if we tell you don't date them, you're just going to go harder with it and try to prove us wrong that he's so great and whatever. So I'm glad they kind of let me do my thing. It probably would have saved me time if they forced me not to, but that's fine. But I don't have experience, obviously, with a child, so I know that's so different.
No, I was wondering, Eddie, from your being like bringing somebody home, so that's great. So here's something interesting. So I had 7 boys at my house last night from 18 to 20. And I asked them, I thought I was going to have a quiet evening. So these boys all come in, they're sitting down, 2 are at college, the rest are going to college. There's 1 girl. And I know that they all have good relationships with their parents because I know these kids, I know their parents. And I said, and a couple of them have girlfriends or significant others. And I said, what do you guys think? Do you think the parent should say, absolutely, I do not think it's a good match? And how much deference will you give? Every one of them said, we care. what our parents think, and we want our parent to like our significant other. I thought that was a
Mhm.
shocking answer across the board.
I
don't
think that
so.
they want their parent to like them, but I can guarantee if I said to Ronan, that girlfriend is no good for you, you need to break up with her, he'd be like, oh, no, you're not telling me that. But I think if I said to him, I'm a little concerned that maybe this doesn't feel like the person that really understands you or is connecting with you the way that you deserve. Just be aware from an
Yeah.
outsider's point of view, what I see, that I think would go a long way for him.
Well,
And I
that's
think,
the right
yeah,
approach.
yeah.
Yeah.
But if I said to
With
him,
a
don't, no,
because you used to like to go out and run, and now you guys just sit on the couch. You used to be more interested in school, and I'm concerned that things that are where your voice are no, or because she doesn't seem to be as nice to you as I think you deserve, because she seems to criticize you publicly. So I think that because there is super important. And
well, when I had the boyfriend that didn't graduate from high school and had been a bike messenger and had a blue collar job and was really, really hot and 10 years older than I was,
Okay.
and drove a ridiculous little like MG, or I can't even remember, some little European sports car that broke down all the time. Do you think my parents were excited?
No.
No. And I was in college and I dated him off. So I had this whole period of time where I would date him. And then I would date this guy that I met in college who was like super OCD, type A, getting his master's degree. And I think what I wanted was an in-between human. So I just kept going from the one extreme to the other. And I would I'd literally go out to dinner with one and then call the other, be like, I need to break up with you. And then be back with the other one. I mean, it was like, and my parents, every time this guy would be back in my life, I could see they weren't going to put in the effort to really get to know him. They weren't going to say, hey, have him come to dinner or any of that
Right.
stuff. And he was a perfectly nice person. And I remember my mom saying at one point, there is something to finding a person that's your type of match in life, And she's like, and I don't mean that to be disparaging of anyone and their life experiences and their opportunities being different. But if you are too different, there can be always this miss of how you match up in your life and having children. And, that guy and I had a lot of fun, but did it ever get to a place where it could have been serious or I could have married him? No. And
Right.
I could feel the disappointment from my parents. It was a quiet, subtle thing. My mom never had to say, please God, do not end up with that guy. We would be devastated. She never had to say it. I knew
Yeah.
it wasn't right.
well, I will tell you that my parents should get gold stars, because when I brought home a guy that was 6 years older, who was still, he was separated from his wife. Giovanni, I'm his second wife.
Yeah, right.
And they were not completely divorced. And he had 2 children. One of them was from her first marriage that called him dad. And and not Jewish.
Yes.
And he lived in an apartment with cardboard boxes. And he had an undergraduate degree, and he was very, very cute. And I have to give my parents credit because they didn't say a word. They did not
Good.
say a word. And, here we are 31 years later, and I couldn't be more in love with them. But, I bet it is, I have experienced it with my older children, and we've been really right about these things. In fact, I would say one of them, our older our daughter, she had a significant other, and there was a lot of alcohol, a lot of abuse, and there was a child. And so we couldn't let them, because
No.
we would have ended up with, harm to her, harm to the child. And so we had, but I think those are kind of outlier situations,
Yeah.
when you have an addict. So I do think that it is a really delicate, and I called my dad about this, because I want to talk about my parents a little bit. And I know my mother listens, and I wanted to get permission before I go into some of that. But, I think my dad thought the piece is, as a parent, that you say, I'd like to talk to you about this. Would that be okay? He's really into asking permission. And that basically,
yeah.
and then they say, yeah, I'm interested in your opinion. You give your opinion, and then you stop. And you have to be specific. Would you be interested in talking about your significant other. He had shared with me that, when he met my mother, and he was still in, my dad's a physician, he's a surgeon, but he hadn't gone to med school yet. And my mother's parents were like, a nice Jewish
Who's
boy
this
at college. Yeah, like they were like, we reject him. He does not have a plan. He does not have a future, and we do not want you to marry him. So I think it's pretty common that some couples survive, but from a parents, this whole let them theory, I think it I don't want to say it falls apart, but it doesn't stand up to more complicated human dynamics related to some of these things. And we can talk about parents and health next, because I do think that's a really important piece. But I was very curious about you guys' opinions.
Well, how did you answer the survey? Was it like a multiple choice or?
No, I literally just had them there and I said, hey guys. And the reason it's happening is because, I have
the kids.
We started. So essentially we have a very good friend in Germany, and she has two boys who she's very close with, and she cannot stand her older son's girlfriend, cannot stand her. It's totally ripped the family apart. And so I'm really distressed about this. And so we had an issue with our older son's baby mama. Yes, they had children. They were not married. And so we've had this, but so I really want guidance for Luca. And I was just really curious about what these boys said. And there's, like I said, there were 6 boys and 1 girl, and they said, we absolutely want our parents.
And I think you and Luca have a relationship in which there's a mutual respect of opinions on things like this. I think you've already set the groundwork for that conversation to be able to be had. But I'd say if he brought home someone that you're like, oh, her mohawk is not my thing, I think you kind of got to keep your mouth shut and let that run its course.
You can really lose a relationship with your child if you are not careful. I mean, it is.
Well, I have an example of, I got to be careful how I phrase this. A good friend that I was dating someone a long time ago, and I had a lot of issues with him. I'm not going to get into the specifics, but ultimately I saw red flags. I chose not to say anything, but I think I became more distant and a little bit more aloof with her because of it, and because I didn't know how to explain it. They're, to this day, still married, but there have been a lot of problems, and the red flags that I saw actually came up, and there's been a lot of tears and a lot of, and there's kids and there's a lot of things. And I said to her, if I had said something back when we were 23, would you have listened? And she said, no, I probably wouldn't have been your friend anymore. And I still would have married him.
That is so, I just had the chills right there, because she actually needs that friendship from you now.
Yeah. So I'm really glad that I had let them in that. And I'm sure she subtly knew that I didn't think it was right and that there were problems there.
I think if you tell them, though, it's so true. Like, I have so many friends who I would go back and forth with my ex-boyfriend all the time, and all my friends would be like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, stop, don't do it. And I'd be like, girls, like, relax, everything's gonna be fine. And then towards the end, the last time I went back, I didn't even talk to a couple of my friends for like months, and they were like, we know you're with him, like, what are you doing, where are you? And I was like, I just didn't want to talk to you about it. Like, I just didn't feel like being your friend, and it's terrible. But
Cody, let me tell you, you are not marrying somebody unless Christine and I are okay with it, because if it is,
I'm not
marrying
hard, anybody for a long time.
Okay. Well, you can do what I do and just live in sin and have it. My mother has a
Saphira never got married.
Baby, let's get sensitive.
I got you on this.
Well, I actually feel really quickly, I feel really guilty because I don't know Cody's ex-boyfriend at all. I know very little about him. Social media provided information. Cody and I were on a trip together, and she said something about getting back together with him, and I looked at her and I went, oh, come on. No, that I don't like that for you, Cody. And she looked at me and she goes, no, it's good. Stop. And I remember in the moment thinking, yeah, shut the fuck up, Christine. It's none of your business. Number one. Number two, she has to figure out that this guy's not the right guy. Me telling her, who I'm not her mother, I'm not close enough to her, and I've never met him. So what the fuck am I even putting?
Well, I would have wanted to be like, what is it about being with him that is pulling you? And what is it about being with him that pushes you apart? And I would want to explore more.
Yeah, I wasn't that nuanced. I was just being bossy.
Well, no, I would want to, because I think some of that is, I mean, there's a whole lot of reasons that people are with other people. It's super complicated, but I would want to really hone in on the world according to Cody and like letting somebody adapt to it. I am really about, and my mother was like, you really need to marry someone who loves you a little bit more than you love them. I mean, like she like had that. And she also, my aunt also said, marry well, you know, like, and my aunt also said, marry a rich, sterile orphan, which think about it, a rich, sterile,
no children, nobody to inherit the money.
I mean, how fucking
Nice.
smart is that, right? But I did not marry a rich or sterile orphan. But I do think that there is, you know, I do think that older friends, and now you have older friends, Cody, we can help tee you up for long-term success with the right match. Yeah.
Which is good, which I need that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, also, here's the thing that I think is one thing that when you have people that actually really appreciate you for your values and who you are and your, like, I want to see someone that appreciates Cody as much as I appreciate Cody, and that Cody's parents appreciate her and her family and like see her for all this amazing. I mean, when I met Cody, I met her dad. How cool was that experience? I got to see like someone that knows Cody from day one and how much he loves her, cares about her, appreciates her, and thinks she's a really cool person. That is such a validation to me of who she is. So then when she's dating someone, I want to see that that person feels that way too. And so anyway, when you have these aunties butting into your life, Cody, that's what we're looking for. I just want you to know.
I will tell you, everybody needs us as aunties. Like that is the thing that you'll thank us later. That is the aunties. Okay, let's shift to parents because we don't have I've got a hard stop, and I think this is super important. And now, Cody, how old are your parents?
My dad is going to be 73 in November, and my mom is 65, right?
Okay.
Returning 65. Yeah.
Okay. So they're on the younger side. So my parents are 82. My mother just turned 82. Sorry, mother. I just called you out on your birthday. You outed her. 82.
She looks like she's 62.
Oh, she's such a freaking rock.
Nice.
We're going to have my mother on one time.
She's a firecracker.
Yeah. Both of our moms. All three of our moms. And then my dad's 80, 81. So recently, my parents were with me, and, you know, as they get older, it is just natural that parents, and Christine, you know this, they go through some pretty significant health just transitions. Things just don't, the body it deteriorates in different ways. And my parents have always been super private about their health. And most recently, I could tell that the privacy was kind of causing me anxiety. My mother didn't know what she was allowed to tell me. My dad didn't know what he was allowed to tell me. And so I said, I would like to ask permission for a completely different paradigm than we've had growing up. Because let them would be like, well, let them be private. I guess I can't do anything about it. So this is where I reject the let them let me. So I let them be private. But then I said, I would like permission to have a different paradigm. I would like for your health business to be my health business. I don't want it to be let them. I would like to be, we are a family. I'm committed to caring for you guys between now and the end, whatever that looks like. I'm all in. Christine, you were all in with your parents. And so I didn't just let them. I asked for permission, which is the let me portion. But
isn't that the let me?
It's the let me. It's the let me, but it's letting me not let them.
Yeah, but I still think that was what you have in your control, was to go to them and ask for a change. Now, if they had refuted it, said absolutely, rebutted it and said no, that's where you'd have to go back to let them potentially, because
but here's what I would have. But here's what I would have done then. I wouldn't be like, okay, they didn't give me permission. I would have basically done whatever it would have taken for them to give me permission.
Yeah. But I still think that's
a let
in
me.
the theory.
Well, I just want to make sure that folks don't confuse that let me is like, well, I guess I'm going to, I think that let me can sometimes be a persistence.
Yeah.
That people can confuse with, and this kind of gets a little bit deep. I think some people can say, well, let me may mean meddling in the let them.
Mm. Yeah. Like I am sick of the people who literally read let them and then just said, oh, I'm just going to act like an asshole and let people deal with it. I'm just going to I'm just not going to try and let it happen. That to me is the lazy interpretation of the concept.
Well, it feels like there's like a misinterpretation where let them becomes, I'm just going to be hands off with everything.
Well, exactly,
that's
Cody.
Not really right.
You just said that. That is where I think, and she didn't say that, but I think that the book, if you just take it, because, you know, the human condition, they're stupid. Let them, hands off. Like, to me, that's where I think and that maybe not she meant, but I do think that's what's going to happen, because people like take it to the simplest version of things, right? And that does concern me.
Well, I have an example of someone who said, "Oh, I hate that book," because a woman I work with read it, and now she just acts like a royal bitch and says, "Let them hate me. Let them. I don't care." And I was like, I wrote back and I said she fundamentally missed the entire point of the book, and she's using it for her own narcissistic, selfish behavior. That is not what was said. Am I everyone's cup of tea? Absolutely not. No. There are a lot of people that listen to this and go, "Oh, I don't want to hear that woman's voice ever again." Let them. I can let that
Right.
I'm not trying to be a total bitch and then roll over people and say, let them. There's a difference there. I think, Cody, when you talked about the snark videos, you're like, what can I do? I can't control it.
Right.
Let them.
That's why I liked her social media part. Like I made sure to listen to that part. And I don't do Saphira, I know you're not a social media girly, but I was wondering like what the average person would take away from that, because it almost felt a little centered around content creators or people who wanted to be, like the way she was saying, like, post that picture, do that thing. Because I have friends personally that are like, I'm not going to post, not going to get likes. And I was like, who cares? But I guess I just have a different mindset. So I was wondering what the like non-content creator person would take away from the social media chapters, because it felt a little geared towards people who are in that space. But I don't know, maybe I'm just biased.
I posted the picture the other day where you can sort of see my belly roll in my bathing suit, but I liked everything else about that photo.
Picture. You looked great. I saw that picture. No belly roll.
But I posted it because I was proud of being at the beach and I was happy and it was a joyful moment for me. And I was like, I'm just going to post it. And you know what? Luckily, I'm not famous. So there aren't snarky assholes who are like, oh, look at you, fat in your bathing suit. So Cody, I have to tell you, I know we have 5 minutes to wrap this up, but when I was writing the podcast description last week, I went in just to make sure all your handles were Beauty of the Foodie. And when I Googled it, that Reddit thing came up number 3.
I know.
And it was like a car accident that I was like, well, you shouldn't look. But I was like, but maybe it's not really that bad. So maybe you should just go look at it and just see. And I went and I have goosebumps right now thinking about it. I was seething. I have never been so angry in my life about something.
One of my closest friends just found it for the first time and she was like, I know you said it was bad, but I can't believe this shit. I was like, I cannot look at it because I know it's like crazy.
I just think it means you're that much more famous.
I know. I was like, that just means I made it.
I'm pretty sure that Jennifer Aniston has so many haters. Like,
I mean, think about it. Yeah. If you're on People magazine and it's like who wore it better, best or whatever, you know.
Yeah,
you
Katy Perry. I mean, Coty Ryan. Just put her right up next to them, as far as I'm concerned.
But I have to say,
I used some reference that was good. I did a good job there.
That was good.
I knew 2 people's names that were famous.
Nailed it.
Cody, but I have to say, the thing that was most upsetting to me is that it was women, primarily.
Oh, all women.
It was women. And I was like thinking how little their lives must be. Like their lives must be so little to take that time and that effort. And
hating bitches ain't happy.
Oh my gosh. And
I think it's people. I think it's people.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm so disappointed we can't use that word. It's such a fun word to you bitches.
Like it.
We can't use it anymore.
It's derogatory. Apparently, I mean, I won't let my son use it, but I'd like to be able to use it with you.
In the right context, it's a little fun.
Yeah.
Most derogatory words are something about female anatomy or feminine products or feminine everything. It's always, everything negative is about women. You're right. But hey, maybe if we just take ownership of the word.
Well, listen, I like the C word. I like the C 4-letter word. I like the P 5-letter word. But I'm telling you, I have all these friends that are like super consistent. Like they don't even I had one woman, she was like, she didn't want me to say you guys. I'm like, fuck that. I mean, stop.
It's gender neutral in my mind. Guys is the only easy gender neutral
word. That is they. Guys means they.
And by the way, when your son is in school in England next year, he's going to use that C word all the time because they say it. All the time in England.
Oh, no, I know. Oh, don't I know it? Don't I know it?
All right.
This has been so fun. I hope Mel feels supported by us. I mean, hats off and hoorah to her by one, having such a successful life. And I know she worked for it and she put so much vulnerability out there. Also, hoorah for her for working with her daughter and bringing her daughter's thought leadership into such an important portion of that, which is the let me, or as I call it, je décide, I decide. And I wish her nothing but success, nothing but the best.
And she's rich, bitch. She's happy.
Spend that dough, babe.
Yeah, live it up, Mel. Respect.
All right.
Nothing.
I'm not going to get a let them tattoo, but I am going to keep it in my mind. I think a little more than you are, but it is going on. I will give you guys more examples as I come up with them where it's helped me as we go.
I'll implement where I can.
Okay. Deal. Well, thanks, guys. I had a great time chatting through with all of this with you. And by the way, go over to YouTube, watch Cody's Day in the Life. It's very interesting. Really cool red Jeep she's got. I'm very jealous. I want a cool red Jeep.
Thanks.
Yes.
Thanks.
Saphira, have a wonderful day. Good to see you guys. Bye.